Hey everybody, Rick here with a word for Wednesday. I just wanted to share with you a little bit as we're going through the Beatitudes. And it's an interesting thing because every Beatitude starts with a posture. Blessed are those that are blank. And then it calls for a response. So we're going to look today at the most kind of an interesting one. It connects the most with our physical being. It's something that we kind of all understand a little. And that is this: blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. The other three we've looked at so far: blessed are the poor in spirit. That's kind of a spirit sense. Mourn is an emotional sense. Meek is kind of a posture of being. But this is kind of a physical sense. This is blessed are those who hunger and thirst. We've all been hungry. We've all been thirsty. We've all wondered what it's like to be refreshed, what it's like to be fulfilled. But also, some of us have even experienced this at a level of biological need. And it's interesting how righteousness is brought down to the level of biological need when it talks to the spirit and things of the spirit and things of the soul. One of the things that I look at is kind of interesting to me is this idea of, remember high school? Most of us in high school had what was called Maslow's pyramid, right? Where it's like the base thing that the human body has to have, the basic thing we've got to have is food and shelter. Well, this is one of those basic things to our spiritual being, righteousness. And what does righteousness mean? Is that the behavior that we fulfill? Well, righteousness is actually a concept that comes kind of from the ancient business world of right standing. It's like being in right standing before someone, be it before a judge, be it before someone you owe. You are in right standing, that you are in the right. Now, with Christ, our right standing comes from what Christ has done. We are not going to lean on our righteousness and our behavior and who we are as a people or our individual day-to-day stuff. We rely on Christ's righteousness to be the instrument that brings us this idea of wholeness, of right standing before God. To stand rightly before God or rightly before a person, it means that basically you're okay. The relationship is good. You are in right standing. So when we hunger and thirst for right standing with God, what does that mean? Wow, that means a lot, actually. There's a physical sense of us being right with God. And that physical sense is really the constant awareness that it is only through Christ's work, it is only through Christ's presence, and it's only through the power of His Spirit and the power of His Word that we in any way stand before God. It's everything that God has done. Solo Christus, sola gratia. The Middle Ages, yeah, it's pretty ancient. They were the cry of the Reformation. That cry, only grace and only Jesus, and sola scriptura, so only the Word, were the three cries that the Protestant movement brought in this place where righteousness was being bought during the time. There was an illusion of righteousness through people's behavior, through their position. That whole Reformation period, that whole period right before the Reformation was a very challenging time for people. And when we look back at what happened then, and we'll look forward to where we are now, there's so much virtue signaling that goes about to kind of put off an air or an illusion of righteousness, that we appear to be righteous when this passage says righteousness is something that we know is only given from God, and blessed are we when we hunger for only those things that God can give us. So the long way around the barn, the long story to get to the very direct point is when we hunger and thirst for righteousness, we are blessed because we are reaching into and reaching for and straining ahead into something that we are not really capable of. Only Christ is capable of living through us. Paul talks about his righteousness being as filthy rags. Paul says his works are nothing. Jesus admonishes his disciples in John 15 that apart from me, you can do nothing. And it's not a statement of our worthlessness, because we're worth enough for Christ to die for. So it's not about worth. It's not about our value in the big scheme of things. We're very valuable. We're the only piece of creation that God has reconciled to relationship, and now he's reconciling us and through us creation as well. There is a sense of what God is doing that makes us valuable, that makes us more worthwhile than the simple. It's our ability to be these carriers of relationship, which in turn is a product of Christ's righteousness, which is why in these words Jesus is saying, blessed are you when you hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. That's an interesting mental term, right? So we physically feel hungry, we physically feel thirsty, but there's nothing more satisfying than being filled. So my encouragement to you as you go through your week is be filled with the things of God, and there find your satisfaction. Doesn't say that we won't hunger. We continually hunger, but let us be filled and then hunger for more. Filled and hunger for more. I hope you're blessed this week, and I hope you have a great week. If you're love to see you on Sunday morning, start at 10, and remember, Easter service is going to be special from 9. We have 2 services, 9 and 11 o'clock. Please make sure to invite your friends and come to one of them. In the meantime, you guys take care, and I'll see you next week.